What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to show you how to make that really cool trance effect that occurs in short segments. It kind of sounds like a phaser, but it's not. It's made with a high-pass filter and a delay. And you hear it quite a bit, and it's kind of one of those fundamental effects that are really easy to make, and you get a really cool impact with it. So we have this right here. This is a video request, by the way. We have this right here, just basic kind of idea. Right. So just to kind of, I guess, accentuate the effect here, I'm just gonna maybe strip that low end out. So this will be the kind of where the impact is kind of like a little drop, let's say. So it's kind of, track comes in like this. Right, and then the bass comes in. Really cool. So the effect kind of occurs in this area right here. What we'll do is we'll actually just group all of these together. And the first effect device, I should say, we're going to drop in is an auto filter, and the other one is a delay. And I'll set that wet dry down to there. So the auto filter we should set to a high pass filter, like so, with the resonance boosted and frequency around where it's appropriate. Right? So it's kind of like, comes in and then it kind of deactivates. There's no click when this happens. There's a number of ways to kind of go about that. Typically, I don't like to reset it down because obviously we're going to color the sound that way. So I'm just going to essentially enable and disable this device here during this area right here. So I'm going to enable automation, hit B, and then just enable that auto filter right there. Right, so we're getting there. Most important part is the delay. This is where that kind of sound comes from. We're going to disable the synced delay here. So now we've gone from like BPM, it's not synced to the tempo. We are in milliseconds, and we're going to go really, really fast, like 1 millisecond. And we're just going to give that a listen. Increase the wet dry. Right? So there's a delay time, which is causing phasing. You can do this with a phaser, but this way you have a lot more control. This is essentially what a phaser is doing. We have the time here, and as we increase the time, the delay kind of moves like so. Feedback is also important. We'll get into that a little bit later. Right. So essentially, this part right here is automated. So let's get the wet dry just so it occurs here. We don't need to actually bypass that device there. Right, so we're getting there. So let's get the time down to 1 millisecond, and we'll just create some automation. And we see the time right there, and we can just essentially dial it in depending on what's going on. So let's give it a listen. Right, might be a little bit too much there. Right. So yeah, it starts at 1.15 milliseconds and then ends at 6.3. We can give that, less or more. We can also invert that, right? And we might want to get that ending position a little bit more appropriate, right? Or there's no like right or wrong way to do it. It's just kind of dialing it in to where it sounds good. Right, so we're going to have to play around with the frequency now. Give it a bit more resonance. and things like that. The feedback is also important. The feedback will adjust the intensity. Right? It sounds a little bit more like spacey with the feedback up, so it's important to kind of understand what's going on there. And we'll just bring that down. We can also adjust the curve. If you hit Alt, we can adjust the curve of that to make it a little bit more, I guess, natural. So let's give it a listen from here. We can adjust the kick as well. Add that back in. Nope, can't have that. Let's put that back maybe a little bit more linearly, give it a different curve. Right, so that curve sounds a bit good. Like, just always experiment. It's important. We can adjust it even more. We can give it more of an extreme. That's a little bit too extreme. Maybe give it more feedback. And then maybe we'll adjust the wet dry. Right, and you can just dial it in. So you can add in maybe a reverb there just to give it a bit more space, so it kind of goes like back and then comes in. Like on my hand was like, didn't mean to do that, but I guess I did the second time. We got that reverb in there. We'll just give it a bit of wet dry. And this is really cool with the latest version of Ableton Live. We can have groups within groups. We can have, and what I do now is I have a group with all of like the master effects and stuff like that in there, and then the master is just for, you know, mastering. And something I want to add in, and this would have been a little bit more, I guess it would be better for the, I guess, the impact, is we can add in, let's just add in a crash symbol, something like that. Now I'll just have that out there. This will give it a bit of contrast. We can kind of actually, you know, have some context as to when this occurs. Something like that, you know. Right. And something tells me, in relation to that crash, I might want to have that, in the reverb, dampening it a little bit, I might want to have a bit more feedback. And maybe get rid of that clap. This is the clap here. Something like that. So yeah, that should be about it. It's a really cool and effective effect that gives you a nice contrast, and you know, it's not a phaser. Like, doing this with a phaser would be a little bit tricky, you know what I mean? Like, because it's always kind of modulating, you got your feedback, and yeah, you can do it, and you have your different kind of pulls here, but doing it with this delay is it's a lot more of an effective thing. And this comes from the Pioneer DJM 800 days, or the 500, I guess, where they had this delay that you could do this. And I guess we incorporated the like DJing effects and things that we would do live into the tracks. The DJM 800 had this awesome filter, which Extra Records has emulated as well. So you can recreate that kind of feel there. That's why that effect was created. One of the motivations, because those effects sounded really cool in the club, and we wanted to kind of bring them in to the DAW experience. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you learned stuff. Take care and have a good one.